Hello, and welcome to the Confidence to Act show. I'm your host, Rhonda Lynn, and today we're here with Leslie Keeler Saglio. Inspired by her own challenges and commitment to personal growth, she's a Los Angeles native, and Leslie has dedicated her life to helping individuals up-level their relationships and to expand their personal and professional growth. She's an expert of wellness, change, personal development, motivation, and leadership. Leslie's a certified coach with experience spanning 15 years, from Hollywood executive to startup co-founder to living overseas and now a wellness advocate and entrepreneur. She's inspired by the lives and legacies of her father and her childhood best friend. And Leslie has been featured in U.S. top lifestyle media brands, Well Plus Good, Modi Body Green, and Thrive Global, as well as internationally in Virgin, White Ibsa, Om Yoga and Lifestyle Magazine, and Yoga Magazine. So for over a decade, she's been living in Europe, first London, now Barcelona, with her French husband and her two young children. So welcome, Leslie. It's so good to see you again.
Mhm.
Actually, take two for us because we had audio issues when we went to go to produce everything. And so a lot's changed in the world since then. I talked to you about a month
Thanks.
ago, and now we're just, it's so different.
Thanks for having me again, Rhonda. Yes, the world has completely changed since we last spoke and recorded.
Absolutely. So what's going on? How are things going with you now?
In Barcelona,
Yes.
well, we are in lockdown. We are in week 4 due to the coronavirus that has now been a global pandemic.
Right.
And we're here with the kids, homeschooling, working from home, doing all our work virtually, which thank God for technology.
Right.
And
Yes. Yeah.
so no going outside unless it's for food or pharmacy or doctor. So
Yeah.
it's been
A
it's
life
been
change.
interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I know your health and wellness has helped you a lot with being able to kind of cope with that and pivot and make those adjustments that you've had to make, just, such a lifestyle change, right?
Absolutely. I've been using all my spiritual tools that I have, everything from meditation, yoga, essential oils, and just using everything in my tool belt.
Oh,
And I'm using them and using them with my kids
oh,
and
that's
my husband when he's interested.
that's good. Yeah, so we'll get back and can talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But first, I wanted to talk to you about what it was like growing up in Hollywood, and then later on, after after being in Hollywood for so long, you worked for so many big hitters, like in the movie industry, such as DreamWorks and Warner Brothers. But yeah, what was it like growing up in LA and Hollywood?
Good question. Because I think I'm one of the few people that actually grew up in LA. I remember going to university at the University of Southern California, and all my friends were from out of state.
Right.
Yeah, from out of state. And if they were from California, most of them were from Northern California. So it was very rare to meet somebody actually from LA. And when I did work in Hollywood, again, the same thing. Not many people were from LA. So it was very interesting growing up in LA, but I think it was to my advantage because working in Hollywood, I wasn't too fazed by all the, I guess you can say that the smoke and mirrors or the kind of the glamour of it all, because just we were exposed to it really young. You'd see celebrities when you're shopping, just that whole culture is very prominent when you live in Los
It was
Angeles.
the norm for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I wouldn't say that. Mm, yeah, it just seemed like normal, exactly. And now that I live in Europe, I realize that's not normal at all. It's not
Yeah.
normal.
Did you feel
But
like you lived?
every city has their own way of
Yeah.
life.
Did
So.
you feel like you lived in a movie?
That's so interesting you say that. Maybe sometimes it really depends on the people you meet. I think it's depending on who you hang around with and what you end up doing. It could kind of feel kind of like a movie, but
Yeah, because everything's very staged in Hollywood, I mean, they work very hard to make sure that it the production goes well, and it's
Mm,
choreographed, right? Everything happens,
mhm.
everything's kind of laid out. Uh,
Yes.
and real life doesn't always happen that way.
Mm,
So
good
what
point.
was it like working for the big industry hitters like DreamWorks and Warner Brothers? Um, Very
I
fast.
have to say, yeah, it was really great experience. Obviously when I at DreamWorks, I worked for them as an intern when I was in university, and Warner Brothers, I worked for them right out of college.
Oh,
And I remember, even though I was from LA, the fact that you landed a job with the big studios was huge. I imagine it's probably still really, big even now.
mhm.
And my father, he was also working for Disney at the time, but he worked in their home video division, and he worked in their computer programming. So much different than actually working at the forefront with the movies and with the filmmakers. But I found it really fascinating to be behind the scenes and to really see how much work actually goes into making a film and to make people aware of the film, just because there's so much noise out there. There's so much that people can choose from, right? So it's about how can you get yourself in front of people. They used to say butts and seats. How can you get the most butts and
In the
seats? And
theaters, right?
exactly. So it really made me appreciate how much work actually went into it, right? From the script, I mean, sometimes it would take 7 years plus just to get a script into production, because you have all the rewrites. Well, first you have to write the writer, the rewrites, and director, and then get it funded, and then who's going to play actors, and just so much goes into it. And then there's the production, the post-production, and then the marketing, which is where I worked in. Just getting that awareness out into the world about the film. And there's so many different ways that you can angle the film, right? So in Warner Brothers, I worked in the international theatrical department. So it was really interesting to see, depending on the culture and where you were in the world, you would market the film differently. So
Right.
that was really, really interesting as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think I remember, um, like in Europe, they wouldn't go into the theaters on the weekends or during the summer because they were outdoors a lot. Whereas, wasn't that what I think really that was what you were saying is that if there was a lot of outdoor activities, it wasn't good to release a movie in that area in that time because they wouldn't go to the theater.
Exactly. Yes. So I remember when I was working in international, and then we'd think about the release dates around the world. And every time it came to Europe, or at least Western, Southern Europe, we wouldn't release a big blockbuster in the summer, or unless it was, something that you really did want to do, like a whole world release, like on the same day or something
Yeah.
like that. But most of them, like the family films, you wouldn't do in the summer, just because people are outside and they're not really indoors
Mhm.
watching a film. It's just not part of the culture here. Um, England, yes, it's much more American culture, but I'd say France and Spain and Italy, not so much.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's great.
It's totally interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, what was the culture like working for those big companies, those big blockbuster movie making companies? Like the culture, the expectation. Because working along with a high visibility television show or movie, because I know they have really fast paced deadlines, and it's big money on the line. What was it like working for
Yes, a lot of money on the line, a lot of deadlines had to be done yesterday, a lot of personalities as well when you're working with filmmakers. So it was interesting. You just have to learn. I think it was more managing personalities first and foremost, and then managing your work.
them? Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So, how do you manage a personality?
How much time do we have? I mean, I didn't work with, the all of the filmmakers directly. I would work with their production company or etc. But just in how I saw my boss and my boss's boss work with them. The studio is really there to make money for the movie, right? And sometimes it could clash with the creative side of the
Right.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was really interesting to see. So it was really a place of like, okay, where can we meet? Where can
Yeah.
we meet? Like keep the integrity of the filmmakers and what you're trying to produce and this art that you're trying to get out in the world, but at the same time, like how can we get it to make money?
Yeah.
And how can we get people to actually see it? So it was a really fine, it was a really like a dance between everybody. But it was really
Okay.
interesting to see. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just diplomacy and some give and take and then finally you end up having agreeing on a direction and then moving forward, right?
Yes, absolutely. But I think it's probably like with most companies, right? You have different departments and everyone has their own interests at heart and their own vision of a project. So it could probably can go in any industry, but
Sure.
definitely in Hollywood when you're working with movies,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
more precious, right? Because you have all these people that are working on it for years, and it's really a creative project. A lot of these movies. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
important that you get it out there in the right way.
Yeah. And millions of dollars involved, right?
Millions.
Yeah, so lots of money. As a coach, because I know that you've now moved into coaching from the corporate world into coaching and things, what message would you have for someone who says, I've always wanted to be in front of the camera, but I can't seem to get started, or I'm not sure about pursuing my dreams. I'm a little scared. How would you address those feelings of maybe being stuck or fearful?
Oh, great question. So a few things. One of the ones that I love to always encourage my clients is when you have a dream, it's really important during those early times of gestation that you really keep it sacred to yourself, right? Because so many people will have their opinions, so many people will have their own experience of the world, or maybe they went for their dream. And then you go and express, what it is that you would love in your life, and then people will knock you down before you even try. So I really feel like sometimes it's important to keep things for yourself until you're really ready to share it, or maybe you don't need to share it with everyone, right? So it's kind of like you imagine when a woman's pregnant and during those first 3 months,
Yeah.
that first trimester, her and her partner, they keep it secret to themselves, or maybe they tell one friend or one parent, but they don't tell the whole world yet. They don't announce it until they're ready to announce it to the world. And I would kind of, compare it to that. It's like when you have a dream, you really should keep it to yourself, and before, you share it and everyone can have an opinion about it, and really build on your vision of what it is that you want for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that I would encourage is always to really come back to your why. Like, why is it that you have the dream that you have? There's always something that really pulls us towards our vision in life. So for instance, if somebody is in Hollywood and they want to be an actor, like, why is it that you want to act? Like, maybe is it the type of films that you want to create and use it as a platform for something big in this world, and some type of message that you want to share because you're inspired by something that happened in your life. Or maybe it's maybe you're really shy when you're younger and now you're more outspoken and you want to share with people that it's completely safe and authentic to be yourself and express your voice in many different ways. So I think it's really important to stay connected to your why, and not be, especially if, someone wants to work in Hollywood, if we're speaking specifically about Hollywood, it's really easy to get pulled in by all those shiny objects, and it's normal, right? We're human.
Right.
It looks great, right? It's like,
Fame and fortune. Yeah, I want to be
who
famous.
doesn't like nice things and like go nice places? It's, I do too, but then there also has to be some balance and some give and take to like what's healthy, right? So how much are you actually giving of yourself in order to receive those shiny objects? And so there should be a really delicate balance.
Yeah.
Those would be my two main encouragements. And then of course, any type of like mindfulness practices like meditation or yoga, just to continue to be in the present moment. I can only imagine, I've never done acting myself, but you have, you really want to be present, right? With the character that you are versus, okay, who do I have to be with my child like in an hour, or who was I with yesterday with my boss? It's like having that practice of being present and where you are in that moment. I can imagine that would help if you wanted to be an actor
Yeah.
or just anything in your life, just having that practice of being present and really, it really minimizes the stress and the anxiety, because a lot of what we're doing is we're either future tripping or we're past tripping. We're worried too much about, we're not somewhere fast enough, or we're worried about something that may have happened before and that it may happen again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And definitely, for example, when you're on set, uh, being your character, or even in an audition room, you do that. Being present is
Mm.
important because you have to be in character, and so it's just you've kind of suspended disbelief, and now you're that character, and you're trying to portray that you are that person. And so yeah, definitely that mindfulness and being present is a great
Mm.
help. So
Yes.
doing some meditation or yoga helps right.
Yes, or breath work, some simple breath work like inhaling and exhaling for an even count, and just focusing on your breath can really help you to become present.
Oh, that's great. So now I know that you also have a bonus for the audience, and I believe it's called Get Clarity Now. You had a meditation. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the guided meditation that you have?
Yes, so I do have a gift for your listeners. It's called Clarity Now, and so it's about a 10-minute meditation on getting clarity about where you like to be in 6 years' time, and then what you need to do in 6 months, 1 year, 2 year to get you there, as well as a workbook that goes hand in hand with that meditation. So that's definitely
Oh,
available for your
awesome.
listeners. But just more immediate and something more recent is that I am holding these free weekly meditation and coaching sessions virtually every Tuesday for people to join around the world, just to really help during this time of uncertainty and when there's a bit of panic and maybe fear in the air. So it's really a time to come together in solidarity around the world, kind of get grounded in and kind of connect with other people. We do some breath work, meditation, and then there's a portion at the end if anyone would like any additional support from me as a coach. And so it's a free virtual call every Tuesday.
Oh, that's fantastic, Leslie. That's wonderful. You're offering that. So, how does someone find you? Do they find you on Facebook, or they sign up to get an email, or how do they find you?
Yeah, so the best place is you can go directly to my website, which is lesliesaglio.com, LESLIESAGLIO.com, or I'm on Instagram or LinkedIn at Leslie Saglio.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, we'll have those links down below so the audience can catch up with you. So, well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and it's so great to see you're doing well, and at least as best can be expected under the circumstances.
Mm,
And I'm glad that you're finding ways to be expressive and still, helping others, which is fantastic with the clarity and the yoga, and just I appreciate that. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna go to your website and join because I need to.
yes, come and join us. Love to have you. And if people can't make it live, because it's 5 p.m. Barcelona time, which would mean 8 a.m. Pacific for you and 11 a.m. Eastern.
Uh-huh.
There will be a recording sent, so you'll have the recording of the video and audio, and you'll get the past recordings as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And
Mm,
thank you for joining me. Be sure and tune back in for the next episode of Confidence to Act.
thank you.